Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Bible Q&A. Today we're discussing, can I pledge allegiance to both God and country? For thousands of years, if you asked 1,000 people about the things they cared about the most, the same three words would pop up again and again: their God, their family, and their country. The first two have a biblical basis. Obviously, we're supposed to put our trust in Jehovah, because no one else can care for us the way he does. As it was said in Psalms, "Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved." Psalms chapter 55, verse 22. We are also supposed to care for our family members, be they our parents, who we must respect according to Exodus chapter 20, verse 12, or our children, who we must protect, as Paul said here. But if any provide not for his own, and specially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith, and is worse than an infidel. 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. However, the Bible doesn't really speak about a person's love for their nation in the same way. People like Gideon in Judges chapters 7 to 8 were willing to fight for their land, but what they were really fighting for was God's interests. If he wasn't with Israel, then God's children could care less about what happened to it, like Jeremiah, who warned about the future destruction of Jerusalem in Jeremiah chapter 44. Hence, now that most of the world's nations are secular, can we be loyal citizens and loyal Christians at the same time? Yes. There is nothing wrong with fulfilling one's civic duties. If our governments require us to go through military service or vote, we don't have any reason to refuse. As Jesus said, "Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." Mark chapter 12, verse 17. For example, if we read 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 1, we can see that Naaman was loyal to the Syrian government. He was honorable and powerful, and his only flaw was his leprosy. Hence, when he was cured of his disease, he expressed concern about leaving his position in the Syrian government to serve God. "In this thing the Lord pardoned thy servant, that when my master goeth into the house of Rimmon to worship there, and he leaneth on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon, when I bow down myself in the house of Rimmon, the Lord pardoned thy servant in this thing." 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 18. Luckily for him, Elisha approved of his request. It seems odd that Elisha would allow him to do this. Naaman would be going back to a pagan land to accompany his pagan king to serve pagan deities. When Israelites did things like this in Numbers chapter 25, many of them were killed, and the worship of foreign gods was the justification for the conquest of Canaan. However, there was a difference between Naaman and these other people. The latter two groups actually believed in the gods they were serving, whereas Naaman was just bowing down to Rimmon to keep his job. Hence, it was okay for him to return to Syria, where he'd gain even more honor as a result of his cleansing. What's not okay, though, is loving our country more than God. Many countries have brought beautiful works of art and different cuisines to the world, but they've also done horrible things to their people or other nations, because unlike Jehovah, no state is perfect. As Jeremiah said, "Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord." Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 5. Why would you abandon a perfect deity to serve imperfect governments? What's also not okay is believing that citizens of our countries are better than citizens of other countries. In Christianity, no one should be judged for where they come from, not just because their place of birth is random, but also because our spiritual Father doesn't recognize physical borders. As Paul said, "There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Christ Jesus." Galatians chapter 3, verse 28. The Bible also tells us that in the future, all the world's governments will be replaced by God's kingdom, in fulfillment of Daniel chapter 2, verse 44. Therefore, my advice is that if we want to serve our countries, we should follow the example of Naaman. If our nations have made great accomplishments, it's fine to celebrate them. Sports, for example, are a form of peaceful competition that actually brings people together and gives them something to celebrate. However, if we develop patriotism that conflicts with our love of God, we should reconsider our relationship with our countries. After all, the first commandment states, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." Exodus chapter 20, verse 3. If we love our nation more than God, then our nation is our God, and unlike Jehovah, this God will eventually let us down. And that is where I'm going to stop with this Bible Q&A. Can I pledge allegiance to both God and country? Yes, but you have to make sure that you don't love your country more than you love God. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe.